Iceland is wild.
You can admire and feel the huge power of nature in every corner of this island.
My name is Roma Wells. I'm a writer who loves to travel.
Words have always been my compass for navigating my travel adventures, so I'm here to capture the wild wonders of this wintry world.
Over 7 times more tourists visit Iceland than people who live here, and most of them base their trip in the capital city, Reykjavik.
But on this trip, I'm heading off the beaten track to explore far north of the island. These borderlands of the Arctic Circle get far less tourists, but are no less spectacular, and offer an insight into a wilder and perhaps more authentic side of Iceland.
Join me as I try to capture the land of fire and ice in both words and pictures.
Nature brings us things that we could never have imagined, and I love capturing those.
Meet the extraordinary marine life that call these icy waters home.
It's such a humbling feeling to cross paths with these giants.
And find out why, historically, knitting is so much more than a cozy pastime here in the north.
Honestly, I mean, Icelandic people just survive here because of the sheep.
So join me here in northern Iceland as I set out to discover what life is like at the edge of the Arctic.
My adventure begins in the town of Husavik, in the north of Iceland. It's famed for its colourful buildings and quaint harbour, but don't let this quiet demeanour fool you.
This is a gateway to some breathtaking experiences, and it's earned the nickname as the whale-watching capital of Europe.
Iceland is one of only 3 countries that allow commercial whale hunting. But there are strict controls on numbers and types of whales that can be caught here each year. Though tourist demand for whale watching is strong, and over the past few decades, companies like North Sailing here in Husavik have been converting fishing boats into those that can take tourists out to sea.
Captain Husky!
Hello,
Hey.
nice to meet you.
Great to see you.
I mean, here in Skjálfandi Bay, we have a lot of humpback whales, and they are fantastic.
I've been told there's a 97% chance of seeing a whale on any trip you take here. Depending on what time of year you visit, you can see all sorts of different species.
I just think whales are such magnificent creatures. They combine so much size and power with so much elegance and grace. They have one of the longest migrations on the planet, and their tails are as unique as a fingerprint.
What I'm finding different about this whale watching trip is this. Silence.
You can hear the breathing of the whale as it goes down and comes up and takes in the air. You can actually hear it, whereas, you know, with an engine, you hear less.
Exactly.
10 years ago, Opal was converted from a diesel to an electric hybrid engine, which it relies on along with the wind in her sails.
See what you mean about it gets tougher? Yeah. Oh, that's a good workout.
We can stop and take a breath if you need.
No, let's keep going. I'm committed now.
After a few hours on the water and no sighting of any whales, I'm starting to think I might be joining the unlucky few who don't see any whales on their trip to Husavik. But was my luck about to change?
So the captain has heard that there's a couple of humpbacks possibly across the bay. Now, I really hope we get to see them. It is freezing cold and the water is starting to get a little bit rougher here.
On the surface, 10 o'clock.
Humpbacks can grow up to 60 feet long and weigh up to 40 tons. Males sing unique songs to attract a mate, and these can be heard up to 20 miles away and can last for hours.
Oh, so we have just spotted a humpback over here. Now, it's just phenomenal, even to catch just a glimpse of these majestic creatures. You feel the awe flooding your body. It's mesmerizing. I mean, the moment you see it coming out of the water, it's this sudden enchantment. We weren't sure if we were going to see the fluke, but we managed to see it in the end. And it raised out of the water and it flicked, and then it dove back down, and it's just absolutely mesmerizing. I'm freezing cold, but it's warmed my whole body up just seeing it. It's a phenomenal feeling.
Bittersweet photograph and fading light. I made you laugh. I know. I know.
Driving here, it's very dynamic. It's changing all the time. So I never get tired of driving because every turn you go, something is changing. It's always new.
With my feet firmly back on dry land, I'm teaming up with photographer and adventurer Gunnar Gunnarsson for the next part of my trip through northern Iceland. We're travelling in his 4x4, aptly nicknamed the Lava Jeep.
I love the crazy weather, the mountains. I love the perspective that you get when you can see something out there. And it just makes your mind wonder, what volcano is it there? How does it look like?
We're heading to Lake Miva, created by a volcanic eruption nearly 2,000 years ago that dramatically changed the landscape of this area.
I don't need a reason. Take me away. I don't need a reason.
Gunnar, what on earth is this?
So we are in one of the most geothermally active areas of Iceland here. Here, all you have to do is stick a pipe in the ground. You have a natural hot shower. Call this the never-ending shower.
Icelanders have found a way to utilize the power of nature. They use nearly 100% of renewable energy, and sometimes that has quirky results, especially here in the north.
So today we're gonna try something that's very unique to Iceland,
Okay.
and that is very local. You can see we're walking here through the steam, and we're actually gonna be seeing food made here in this area.
Here.
Yes.
We are meeting Thorhalla, who has an interesting method to cook bread for her guests at the nearby Borgarfjós farm resort.
So we have done this for years, baking bread, and all farmers around Miva have been baking bread in the ground, underground.
Goodness. So nature is the oven. This is amazing.
It's like a chest of treasure coming out of the ground here.
Delicious treasure.
Yeah, so we should maybe just open and see how it is.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good.
That looks good,
Yeah.
Thorhalla. Well done.
And I don't know.
We
do you
smell it.
Yeah.
Oh, I do, yeah. So this is the bread that we just collected at the farm earlier. We have Icelandic butter.
It's delicious. It's got a real kind of cakey, earthy texture. You can sort of taste the fact that it's been in the
Yeah.
this bread.
And you can see what I mean, that it's almost like bread and cake. Like the bread is so soft, it's so juicy, has a little
Moist.
sweetness to it. So this is Icelandic trout from Lake Mývatn, and it's smoked in, so this is very sustainable. People use everything, so it's smoked in Icelandic sheep dung.
Is
This
it
is
now?
actually a very
Yeah.
traditional way of doing it. So, nice, huh?
There's a real smoky texture to that. What is this surreal place that we're in?
So this area is called Hverir, which means hot springs.
It does feel like another planet.
Yeah,
It really
definitely.
does.
Yeah, it really does. So I think we should take some photos of that. Maybe try to get some detail shots. Think about the colors here. If you go up to the hot spring now, it's gonna be super nice. Yeah. That was nice. And then walk towards me now. Yeah, really nice. Here we go. See some of the details. Look at that. And I think these isolation shots can be really good of the colors.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get to that's a nice portrait view here.
The cheesy girl.
And then I'll show you. I like this a lot. I think this is really nice.
Leaning in.
Mother Nature is volatile, and these landscapes are full of risks. Accidents have been on the rise as tourists search for the perfect picture, which has led authorities to establish a set of guidelines to keep people safe whilst travelling here.
So in Iceland we have something called the Icelandic pledge, so respectful in the way that you take your photos. And for example, you take pictures worth dying for, but you don't die for them.
Aha,
when you get
sound
them.
logic.
Yeah, exactly. One very good way not to die for your photos is to use your drone.
There is research to do before flying your drone in Iceland, but stick to the rules and you can get some amazing results.
Here, so we have the volcanic crater here.
And the snow stripes.
It's crazy. It almost looks like a black and white photograph, honestly.
It really
This is
does.
actually a photo that I kind of wanted to get for a really long time. If you want to go a bit higher,
Go straight up.
so there's a shutter button here
This
for the
one here?
camera. So take a picture. Nice.
It's incredible. Just everywhere you look, it's
Yes,
astounding, isn't
yeah.
it? I mean, you can see the pictures on social media, but it's just not the same. You can't smell the bread baking in the earth, or hear the bubbling mud pots, or experience the mist drifting like dragon's breath. It truly is a place that has to be felt and immersed in with all of your senses.
The story of Iceland has been recorded in sagas, oral histories that were written down in medieval times, which Icelanders have used to connect with their past. They feature tales of politics, heroism, and adventure, all with a healthy dose of Norse mythology. This is Skagafjörður. It may look stunning and serene, but the sagas tell us this was the location of a brutal battle between warring Viking families that would herald the beginning of the end for Iceland's independence.
The Battle of 1238 is the Battle of Örlygsstaðir, which we can see behind us here.
These are the battlefields.
These are the battlefields.
How pivotal was it?
The period, the 1200s, from maybe 1238 to 1260, is the bloodiest and the most brutal time in Icelandic history. It's the story of how we lost the independence. So we lost the independence to the Norwegian king, and we didn't gain it back until 1944.
Which is quite a very long time.
It's a very long time. So every generation has the responsibility to preserve the history and to mediate it in a way that it can be understood, appreciated. And I think we've come to the next step. We need to use the technology to kind of make it more interesting.
New frontiers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Freyja Root is behind the history project 1238, The Battle for Iceland. Carrying on the storytelling tradition, she's taken the tale of this momentous fight from the pages of the saga and turned it into a virtual reality experience.
Wow. So
This is the spear of Gráusíða, the spear of your chieftain. And this will be something you meet in the battle.
experience, right? So you take these real world details and you've programmed them into the experience.
Yes.
So it's completely accurate.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Let's go.
But I'm picking up weapons and I'm inspecting them and learning about the history of the blades. I'm meeting the chieftain. He had a treasured spear he used in battle, but it's lost. So when I head through this gate, I'm entering battle and I'm going to find his spear. Someone's coming. See an ominous raven and someone arriving on a horse. God, you can hear that's the battle cry. And they're coming. Right, they want me to use rocks.
This technology may let you experience history, but it will never change its outcome as the chieftain meets his untimely demise.
So I'm handing the spear
Back to the chief. At last.
Let me help you
We got
back.
There we go. My gosh.
How are you feeling?
That was absolutely brilliant. I wasn't ready for the immersive nature of it. It just brought history to life. It's incredible. I feel like ready to go for the rest of the day.
You really channeled your inner Viking.
Yeah.
Take your time with me.
Today I visited both a real battlefield and a virtual one, and it was quite the epic experience. But if there's one thing that it really hammered home, it's just how much there is to learn from these fascinating sagas, and just how powerful it can be when storytelling is updated for our technological world. In the north, as the Icelandic autumn turns into winter, farmers round up their sheep, bringing them back to their farms, so they have a warm barn to stay in during the colder months. Their wool's particular qualities make it sought after for knitters like Helen Magnusson.
Hello, lovelies.
The good stuff, huh? The good stuff.
Sheep in Iceland, they just go freely in the mountain all summer.
Yeah, just roaming
Just
through the
roam
wilds.
freely.
Yeah.
And then in September, usually we have to round up, so they are herded back from the mountains, but then they belong to all the farmers in the area.
Yeah.
So you have to sort them. But getting the sheep is the big thing because they've been wild.
All the sheep in Iceland are direct descendants of those brought here by the Viking settlers in the 9th and 10th century. In bygone times, they would have had to endure Iceland's erratic climate all year long. This has led the sheep to develop two types of wool.
Creamy, buttercream colours.
Yeah. And
The
now-
water-resistant outer fleece, called tog, and the thell layer, which keeps the sheep snug and warm, whatever the weather.
This is the wool, the best wool you get because it's all clean.
Because they've been outside.
Yeah, because they've been outside all summer. Whereas the one that is from the shearing in March, it will be, they will have
rub off.
rubbing against each other. And then it will be full of poo and hay. And this wool usually, it will go into insulation or carpeting. And here we go.
I have to ask though, your passion for knitting, where did it begin? Was it in here in Iceland?
Well, I worked
Interest
as a
there?
lawyer for 3 years in Paris, and then after I went to Iceland, I was just like, okay, this is my home. And so I just quit my job, resigned from the bar, and moved to Iceland. Everybody
that.
thought I was completely crazy.
Helen wants to keep traditional Icelandic knitting alive. She runs knitting tours, taking tourists across glaciers and over rugged terrains or historical sites in search of inspiration for their next design. Wow, so these are what houses are like
Yeah, so
on the
this
edge
is
of the Arctic.
Exactly. So this is Grenjastaður, and this is one of the few turf farms that we have left in Iceland.
Right.
Like in the 1930s, you would have maybe 100,000 turf houses, and when you would go through the countryside, there would only be like houses of this type. But then they got all tear down, destroyed, and they come from the old Viking house. They are made with whatever was available on the terrain. So usually it's a blend of rocks and turf. And obviously this one has lots of stones.
Yeah, are they getting this from out
Yeah,
here?
they come from the lava field over there.
So in these intense conditions, you really need to keep warm here.
Yes, you do. So lots of wool, lots of sheep.
We're ready.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Icelandic people just survive here because of the sheep. Yeah, and imagine what it is like in the middle of the winter
So dark.
when there's absolutely no light. Careful, it's steep. So in winter time we would have maybe 15 people here.
Yeah. So this is the heart of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
house.
Almost really. it's all a matter of tension and how to hold the yarns. So I'm just going to cast on. So I'm basically making a loop.
It's almost like a dance with your hands.
Yeah.
And I try it the other way, as in like just folding it around your finger.
Yeah, you can also do that.
That works as close. But also, meant to ask, like, when people would traditionally be in this room knitting, was it quite a kind of communal activity? You'd be sitting next to each other and chatting, or was you kind of...
Yeah, so you didn't have any radio or TV, so there was usually someone like reading or singing poem or singing, then knitting,
Yeah, as they go.
A little bit quicker. You're doing great.
So if people are visiting the north, how would they be able to tell like a traditional, real Icelandic sweater as opposed to one of these imitations?
There are some standards today that have been set by law. So if you want a real Lopi sweater, then you will get one, you will have the name of the knitters on it. If you don't, it's not. And it cannot be called Icelandic Lopi sweater either.
What do I do next here?
Well, I mean, you just break the yarn and then you just drag it through.
Pull it through. Aha! Look at that!
You've made your first swatch.
I feel so proud. Gosh, it really is one of those things. The more you do it, the better you get, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It can take a long time to get to your speeds.
So how do you
enjoy the experience?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very therapeutic. Like I felt very like kind of it's mindful. I've always thought of knitting as this cozy, intimate pastime with a hot chocolate and a roaring fire, but being here in Northern Iceland, I've seen it's so much more extreme, you know, this need to survive, this necessity of it. It adds a whole other dimension. Northern Iceland is a place that's hard to put into words. Being here on the edge of the Arctic has really pushed me to the limit of all of my senses. From the breathtaking landscapes carved by fire and ice, to the rich history and folklore, to the incredible creatures that glide its waters. It really is this tapestry of extreme wonders, woven together as vibrantly as the iconic Icelandic jumper. There are just so many secrets here waiting to be unearthed. But there is one thing that I haven't seen. The sometimes elusive Northern Lights.